African leader or one African government minister owns more than his entire village. And the tragedy is that that minister still goes to church on Sunday and says, "Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, and thy will be done on earth." And he is the thief.
Government is broke, government is broke. But people are spending billions to go inside the government that is broke. Have you ever seen a minister who resigned because government is broke before? Government has no money. Have you ever seen a governor who said, ladies and gentlemen, when I was elected, I thought the government had money. Now I discover government has no money, I resign. Have you ever seen it? Government has no money, but they are bringing money out at election time. Where is that money coming from? So they are lying. What is happening is that there are two types of wicked people in government. Type 1, they eat current money. Any money they find in government, they will eat it. They are wicked about that one. There is type 2. Type 2, they eat current money and future money. They will say, my term will end next year. When I leave, how will I eat money? Let me borrow money now and borrow money of the future and eat it now.
The speech you are about to listen has made this sentence, "Africa leaders are thieves," to come to reality. At the end of this video, you would understand the reason why this video is titled "African Leaders Are Thieves." However, the question I'm going to ask is, how are we going to stop this? Because sometimes it is important we hear the truth, but not only hearing about the reality, but it is also about profiling solution to this reality. How do we stop these African leaders that are looting our future to make sure that such situation did not meet our children, even our 2 children ahead, 2 generations that are coming? What are we going to do? So listen to this video. At the end, let's talk.
African leaders tell us on a daily basis that we have improved the education situation in our countries. Oh, but ask them to take their children to those schools. No, their children will go to the United States of America. Their children will go to Australia. Their children will go to France. Their children will go to Portugal. So it is you and me who are God-forsaken who take our children to schools which are local. Talk of low self-esteem. African leaders have also become hunters and gatherers. Our ancestors gathered wild fruits. In this country, they must have gathered those fruits in the Namib and the Kalahari Desert. In Kenya, they must have gathered them in the Chalbi Desert. But today, our leaders are in the business of gathering cars and buildings and many things. And yet I remember one great philosopher saying that there are people so poor in the world that the only thing they have is money. And there is no shortage of such individuals in Africa, people who engage in primitive accumulation. Our leaders have this habit of accumulating things. Shah Bedel Bokassa even had a bed of gold. But the tragedy is that when you have a bed of gold, even sleep will have deserted you. And what you must do is to take sleeping pills to sleep. But even then you cannot sleep. I'm submitting to us that the problem of Africa, as Chinua Achebe said, is simply and squarely a problem of leadership. That is the problem in Africa. And why do I say so? Experience has demonstrated without number that where the leadership is good and sound. Greg Mills, the great South African, advising Paul Kagame and writing after the event, says that the problem of Africa and the reason why Africans are poor is because their leaders have made that choice. He says that poverty is now optional, but the African leaders have made the choice that they are going to worship at the altar of the gods of poverty. And I'm submitting to us that experience has demonstrated that poverty can be dealt with. If you look at other civilizations, you remember at one time Turkey, which was then known as the Ottoman Empire, was called the sick man of Europe. When Atatürk came in Turkey, he became a dictator. And when he was asked, why have you become a dictator? He said, I've become a dictator that there may be no other dictator in Turkey, but that Turkey should rise up from the morass of poverty. And today, when you go to your supermarkets, you get things called Ramptons from Turkey. They even have Turkish schools in Africa. That is Turkey built and midwifed by Atatürk. Leadership is the solution. We are quick to point out Singapore. When Singapore was being forced out of their union with Malaysia, many an obituary was written about Singapore. It was said of Singapore that it would go nowhere. This backwater city-state. But Lee Kuan Yew recognized that when you marshal your people and lead them into some direction, then they will realize their potential. Today, Singapore has a per capita income of nearly 35,000 United States dollars, and it is properly distributed. It is properly distributed. But the problem of Africa, if you allow me to digress a little, is that the per capita income in Africa doesn't begin to tell the story. The GDP of Africa doesn't begin to tell the story. Because one African leader or one African government minister owns more than his entire village. And the tragedy is that that minister still goes to church on Sunday and says, Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, and their will be done on earth. And he is the thief of gigantic proportions, stealing on an industrial scale. I'm submitting to us that the problem of Africa is one of leadership. We have seen in Dubai, in the middle of a desert, each one of us who is a middle class here will have gone to Dubai, or your dream is that you go to Dubai or Abu Dhabi or Doha in Qatar. When you are leaving Windhoek to go to Europe and other places, you will take Qatar Airline, Etihad Airline, or the Emirates. These little Arab countries that have emerged, why are they doing so well? Leadership. It all falls on and rises on leadership. It all falls and rises on leadership. If you have bad leaders you only attained independence the other day, and it doesn't come as instant coffee, but you can borrow from countries such as Denmark, countries such as Norway, countries such as Finland, countries such as Sweden, countries such as Singapore, so that by the time you are talking about your vision 2030, Namibia could actually have 80% employment. It is achievable. And with the discipline that I've seen here in Windhoek, where you obey traffic lights, where you have no garbage in your streets, it is achievable because discipline is part of the solution. You can achieve it. But Namibia is an exception to the rule. But that is not to say that the many things cannot happen. Many things can happen. I'm still talking about resources. Look at the Democratic Republic of Congo. Each one of us here has a mobile phone. And in each one of those mobile phones there is rare earth from the Democratic Republic of Congo. It is said that in the rivers of Congo we can generate enough power to light the entire Africa. The Democratic Republic of Congo has cobalt and gold and everything. And yet the Democratic Republic of Congo could not hold their elections last year because they have no money to hold the elections. Even Somalia, after 18 years of trouble, could hold an election. The Democratic Republic of Congo cannot hold an election.
Now you are still watching this video. Now, my problem with all this reality that we know is this. I am having doubt that ballot revolution will work in Africa, not just in Nigeria. When I mean ballot revolution, that is when people will come out to vote. I know that, yes, it will show that these people voted. The votes will be there, but 60% of the votes will not be counted. It will be rigged against them. So if ballot revolution did not work, what are we going to do? Because it seems that these people have amassed so much wealth to control anything they want to control. To bribe? Because no matter how you are as a human being, even though the INEC chairman is like a god. So if he is being presented like $20 billion, come on, the man will succumb. Not only the money, with the threat, because when you have money, you have so much power in you to do anything. So that is the situation we find ourselves. What are we going to do? Let me know in your comment section what you think yourself. What do you think we should do? This is the same reason when a coup happened in all these African countries, you could see that so many citizens will be happy. They'll be happy because it's like the change of government to military regime gives them joy. Do you think that if we have military regime in Nigeria, people dying in Nigeria will be dying like this? No, it won't happen. Look at how Burkina Faso flushed out terrorists when the military took over. What about Guinea? What about Niger? And all these countries are doing fine. What is going on in our country? Please kindly let me know in your comment section. Share this video, subscribe to my channel, and above all, always come for daily updates.